And Adam and Dale react to the comeback win over the Flames. Plus, they preview Connor McDavid and that next game against the Oil. Natalie Noury talks the Fleet as well. So check it out. The Hockey Hub can be found on Amazon, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever else you get your podcasts. Let's get it started. Here we go. Boston has entered the chat inside the PNC Bank studio. Travis Thomas here with the legend, Natalie Noury. Our first show together officially. I'm fired up for it, Nat.
I am as well. It's funny because when you're not here, I'm here. We were just joking. I keep his desk seat warm when you're out. But,
yes.
No, it's great to be here with you. You're bringing the energy, and it's just going to be a ton of fun, man.
Well, you bring the energy, too. I told you this off camera, so of course I'm going to tell you on camera as well. So I'm a big fan of your work. I think you do a great job.
Thanks.
I like how you're on multiple shows. You could do ringside. You can do everything. Yeah. And every time I see you, you bring it. So I made sure that I brought my A game today, and I'm looking forward to it.
Oh man, you're making me blush. No, that's awesome. Thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun and doing a couple more things this year than I did last year, which is always kind of the goal. And deep in hockey season right now for me right now. But keeping eyes on some other things as well.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I feel like a lot of people, myself included, are like slowing down now because of the holidays. Less shows, but I feel like you're in the thick of it. You're in the grind because it's hockey season.
Yeah, a little bit. It's cool because working in college hockey, they get the holiday break, the J term, everything. But there's still things to keep track of, like the World Junior Championships coming up, and all the college kids go out there for camp and see what they can make the roster or not. But then the Fleet, the PWHL, that's in full force. We had a game last night, Tuesday night, but then they're not playing again for 10 days, and then they're not back in Massachusetts until like end of January. So it's a little weird, but it's like the games, the execution might not be there, but my brain is always going. And I'm trying to keep track of everything. It's hard because trying to find time to get groceries, get my oil changed at the same time.
For sure.
Like, sheesh, what are we doing?
Well, you balance it all. We're gonna do it in this show as well. Coming up, Mike Vrabel's name is bubbling right now around the NFL. We'll tell you why. Plus, the college football landscape, I think it's officially changed forever. We'll explain, and as always, we'll preview the Thursday night matchup between the Broncos and the Chargers. But by now, you know the drill, right? I mean, first of all, the show's interactive, so we need to hear from you. You can tweet at us using the hashtag NessenChat. Also, you can email us, the chat at Nessen.com. We read emails. We read your tweets. We are interactive. We need to hear from you. Natalie and I, look, we can party together, but we prefer to have you. We want a big party with everyone involved.
Friends.
Exactly. All right, let's get it started with what's trending. Now, things have changed since the last time you were on this fine program.
Yes, sir.
Apparently, George and I talk a lot. Okay, so
I don't believe it.
Yeah, I know. So what they've done with trending, because you've always done what's trending, but what they've done now is they put us in a nice contained 3-minute box.
You guys need guidelines.
I guess.
You gotta be.
I guess.
Reel it in every once in a while.
I'm not much of a guideline guy, but here we are. So we'll go 3 topics, 3 minutes. Here we go. We'll start with Mike Vrabel. So Mike Vrabel reportedly would have interest in being the head coach for the Patriots if the job was available. We have the tweet here. So Tom Curran reported this.
Yeah.
Now, also, the Jets in the no-duh category, it's being reported that the Jets covet Mike Vrabel the most out of all the candidates. And look, I say no-duh because both the Patriots and the Jets should be in the Mike Vrabel business. So should the Bears and the Jaguars, and all these other loser franchises that don't have a coach right now, and certainly we know more are coming. I think the Patriots could be one of them. We'll see what happens with Gerard Mayo. But whoever's in the business for a head coach right now, Mike Vrabel's name, if not at the top of the list, Natalie, should be on the list. High up there, right? I mean, it's a no-duh story to me. To you, did it land the same way?
Yeah, and first of all, like the rumors, the reports, like all of that is kind of funny around the Patriots because
Yeah.
we don't even know what the Patriots are doing yet. So, of course, he'd be interested in going back to the Patriots in some capacity, but that's not really a conversation right now. As for the Jets, it is a little bit of a different narrative.
Right.
So they are looking for someone to come in and take over. You know, he's currently serving as the coaching and personnel consultant for the Browns, and this guy's got a ton of experience. You know,
Yeah, he does.
Between playing and then coaching and being with the the Titans for a couple years, he brings in a ton of experience. So I think, you know, a lot of people online too are in support of this, saying hire him, let's roll, let's go with it. But you know what? It's right now. He's not going to be hired. He's just being looked at, and I
Yeah.
think that's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I'll be honest with you. If I was Mike Vrabel, I would want no parts of the Jets job. Like,
Yeah.
don't even call my phone. Like, if the Jets...
Really?
Yeah. If I look down and I see New York Jets, I'm like, yeah, you're going to voicemail.
Snooze,
Sorry,
yep.
I'm not doing it. I would
Yep.
answer the phone, and we'll see what jobs come open. Some of this is like you and I speculating, too.
Yeah.
But we know the Bears' job is open already. I would answer my phone for the Bears. I would answer my phone for the Patriots if that is to come open. And then depending on what other jobs, maybe I'd take some more calls. But those would be the two I would take. The Bears, obviously, they have the quarterback in place. You know, we'll see if it works out long term, but we know Caleb Williams is talented, if nothing else. He has weapons. I mean, that division is tough, but it's still the NFC, which feels more wide open than the AFC, where you got to deal with Mahomes and Josh Allen and all these guys.
Yeah.
I would take the Patriots call because of my history with the team, playing for the team.
Right.
But also, Drake May's pretty damn good. You have a ton of cap space, so you have money to spend, and they're obviously going to end up with a top 3 draft pick, we'll call it.
Yeah.
So that's a lucrative situation. The only mistake the Patriots made, in my opinion, was waiting until potentially now to call this guy. This should have been the head coach of the Patriots right now,
Okay.
not Gerard Mayo. They should have went to Vrabel a year ago, Natalie. That's where I'm at.
I agree with you. And I'm glad you landed that plane so gracefully, even though the buzzer went off.
Did you hear that? This is your first time hearing
That's
how
my first
aggressive.
time hearing the buzzer.
Is that not aggressive?
Yeah, it is aggressive. And there we go again. My gosh.
I mean, come on.
I was just gonna, you know, this guy's so selective with whose phone call he's taking. I was just about to ask him if he'd ever take mine. Jeez, but we don't have time for that, I guess.
I would. Not the Jets,
Mac.
Natalie's, I would. All right, in other news, the Falcons bench Kirk Cousins. What? Captain Kirk, all that money getting paid
yeah.
to ride the pine. It's Michael Penix's time now. Look, I called this. Here's a tweet right here. Coach Morris has named Michael Penix Jr. as starting quarterback moving forward. Nat, you could call me Trav Stradamus. Honestly, I called this weeks ago.
Yeah.
I said the way Kirk Cousins is playing, you need to just move off of him. I know you paid him all the money in the world. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You have a chance at a playoff run for the Falcons. You have a chance to win the division. You can't mess around with this stuff. Get him on the bench, play the kid. Because if you fail with Penix, then you're like, okay, we get a look at him. We know what we have to work on for the future. But if you just keep hanging on to Kirk Cousins and he's running you into the ground and you miss the playoffs, you have nothing to show for it. You paid him all the money, right? And you failed. And then you didn't get a look at your rookie.
Right.
So to me, it just makes sense. Go to this. Here's the other thing of note, Nat. So this is a week too late. I said start him Monday night against the Raiders in
Okay.
Vegas. The Falcons did win that game 15-9, but that's a baseball score. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
So you shouldn't have played Cousins there. He looked awful. You should have played Penix there. But the rest of the way, Giants, they suck. At the Commanders, I covered that team. That's not a real home game. There'll be more Falcons fans than Commanders fans, okay?
I've
and
been
then you end the season at home against Carolina, who also sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a pretty soft landing spot for Michael Penix Jr.
So you're in favor of this. And like, let's remember, at the end of week 15, Cousins led the league in interceptions with 16. And you know what? I lived in Minnesota. I was a little bit of a Vikings fan for a moment. I loved the fan base around him. But you know what? Coach Morris said it. He said, we need more out of the QB. If they're not getting enough out of Kirk Cousins, then yeah, switch it up. That's what I say. You brought up another point about just the fact that looking at your rookie this time of year, I like that because it is, if you roll with the train that isn't going,
Yeah.
as well as
Right.
you wanted to. Because you're right, 15-9 baseball score, and also
Yeah.
the offense wasn't impressive in
That's
that
right.
game. So you do have to switch things up at this point in the year. That game was actually cool, by the way, because two of my former classmates at UNH
Come on.
were running backs. So we had Carlos Washington Jr. on the Falcons, Dylan Lobby on the Raiders.
What?
So some
Shout
guys
out
out to school.
UNH.
I know.
Let's
UNH.
go.
But yeah, so I didn't really have an opinion on who won that game, but for it to end up like that, for them to switch it up,
Yeah.
probably expected at this time of the year. I like your strong opinions about it, though.
Yeah, well, I just think, too, I know it's a lot of pressure on a rookie this time of year,
Yeah.
I guess, and playoffs and all that, but let's find out what you're made of, kid, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the pressure in sports at a lot of times, especially in that position, I say this about quarterbacks and pitchers. I mean, it's like, yeah, the weight of the world is on your shoulders anyways. So why not learn now?
Right.
Right? So why not get them in there now, baptism by fire?
Okay.
Last word for you
Well,
here?
I was just going to say it was kind of like the Drake May situation. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted him in early. Like, get him started. Let's see what he's made of. And well, I mean, there's time, but.
Oh, can we clip that off and play it for George, who wanted to
George.
sit Drake May for 10 years? I swear to God. He wanted
Yeah.
Drake May in a bubble with no one even breathing on him for 10
Right.
years and then roll him out once you build the rock. Hey, come on. I can't take shots at George. We got a shot
We gotta-
clock on that.
I agree.
That should be unlimited time.
Especially
All right.
shots on George.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's
Anyways.
a podcast. Maybe we could start shots on George. All right, Norfolk State hires Michael Vick as the next head coach. This is shocking to me.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. This is shocking. Norfolk State. I have a lot of friends that went there. I got into a lot of trouble in that Tidewater area of Virginia. Let me just tell you, I know all about Norfolk and Norfolk State and Chesapeake and all that area. The deal is done. Michael Vick is Norfolk State's next head football coach. Would not be surprised if his staff has a Hokies flavor. This tweet from David Teal all over it. Of course, Michael Vick, the famous Virginia Tech Hokie. I watched that man once in the national championship, Natalie. Nearly beat a prime juggernaut Florida State franchise or program by himself. It was incredible. Virginia Tech did not have any players other than Michael Vick, and they almost beat the mighty Florida State Seminoles in the Natty. That's how good he was in college. So I could see a lot of Hokies there on that staff. But
Yeah.
as far as Norfolk State, no, I bring up like being in that area and all that because they don't really matter. Honest. I mean, I'm just being
Straight
honest.
shooter. Yeah.
So
Love it.
In terms of football, they don't matter. So getting a Michael Vick in and of itself brings so much attention and
Yeah.
eyeballs to that program now that it's going to help them. It's going to help recruit. It's going to help get them attention. It's going to help them get games on TV and the whole nine. My only, I guess, buyers beware here, my only trepidation is everyone's looking for the next Coach Prime, and we'll talk about this later. But, I mean, Coach Prime, I think, saw an avenue where he could help young men and mold young men into grown men, and his son happened to be going along for the ride. It was like, great, he's my quarterback, let's go.
Yeah.
I don't know if all these other former players have that same mentality. Like Michael Vick
Right.
could be doing this for Michael Vick. That's a very
Yeah.
different reality, Natalie, than what Coach Prime is doing. Does that make sense?
It does, because that's kind of where I was going to go with this too. And when you hear the name Michael Vick, I mean, you know what comes with it. And like growing up, when that happened, it was just kind of like, oof, like that's kind of the first thing that comes to mind there. But that developmental piece was the part that I was thinking of too, because I've worked in college athletics. You've been around it,
Yeah.
so it's these players not only have a responsibility on the field, but they have the responsibility in the classroom, off
Right.
the field, being incorporated in the community every now and then. Can Michael Vick help lead a program of
Right.
young, bright, intelligent young men? They don't always want to be students at the time, but they have that responsibility. So that's kind of my big hesitation is Michael Vick. Yeah, he's got quite the resume. He's never coached too, which
Right.
is also another like red flag a little bit. But
Yeah.
not to say that's. I mean, Bill Belichick has never coached college football,
Right.
so I mean it's not to say that he can't do it. I'm just curious about that developmental side of the game. And Dwight Vick, his cousin, he was the former Virginia Tech offensive lineman. I'm going to finish this.
You keep going now.
He's shown interest that
Yeah.
that he might have a position on that
Yeah.
staff as well. So
Yeah.
if he's going to be the head coach, he needs some support around him, and that'd be interesting to see.
Well, listen, if you're tired of this aggressive buzzer, but you want to be a part of the conversation, tweet at us using the hashtag NessenChat or email the chat@Nessen.com to join the chat. Boston has entered the chat, is available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else podcasts are found. All right, let's stay there for a second, shall we? Because you look around the landscape of college football right now.
Yep.
I mean, there are former stars from the NFL all over college football right now. They have their imprint on it. We talked about Coach Prime. We talked about Michael Vick. Eddie George, another one. How about Bill Belichick now? I mean, you brought him up too at UNC. I think I'm still in shock from that, Natalie. We can actually start there if you want. I know Ray Lewis was in consideration at one point for the FAU coaching vacancy. So it's nothing new to see former players, NFL players coaching in college. Well, this happens in college basketball too, and NBA guys, coaching college basketball. I don't think it's anything new. There's nothing new under the sun in that way.
No.
What I think's happening, players coaching in college. Well, this happens in college basketball too, and NBA guys, coaching college basketball. I don't think it's anything new. There's nothing new under the sun in that way.
No.
What I think's happening, though, if we're having an honest conversation, and we know this from working in the industry, there are really only, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 paths for former players if they want to do this. It's coaching. It's, GM front office kind of thought pattern. And then there's what we do. Right?
Yeah.
There's media.
Good point. Tom Brady.
Right. And then I guess, one path you could take is just chilling and showing up and doing interviews whenever you want to, right? Some guys do that.
Yep.
But, as I kind of look at the college football landscape, I think a lot more players now are choosing to go into coaching. And I think it's because of, Coach Prime's effect and other former players who have had success. I think they see that and they want that. And look, a former player they're used to the spotlight, they're used to the love, the accolades, the juice, the rush that the game provided them. And once your playing days are over, that's a void. You don't have that anymore. I love doing what we're doing, but I've done it enough with former athletes. It's not the same rush doing a TV show as it is running out of the tunnel with all those screaming fans. You know what I mean? So I think coaching gives them that little bit of adrenaline rush that they had as players. But my God, it's a lot more work, though.
Yeah, and actually, funny point, because I was just talking to Courtney Kessel with the Boston Fleet last night, and she said, the players, they come, they show up, they do their job on the field, on the ice, whatever, and then they go home. She said, my job begins after hours.
That's right.
And you have a lot more commitment to the studying and the recruiting and the whatever that is. And that is a big part of college football, which, a lot of these former players or coaches, it's like they have to do all that. They have to do the recruiting. They have to do the teaching. They have to do, make sure their guys are getting in study hall hours. I know that was a big thing at UNH. And it is just interesting to see, Bill Belichick, never having been a college coach, how is he going to handle that? Is he going to come in with, will ego come into that? Because it's like, will they be able to rise to that occasion and take that mentorship role, which the NFL also develops players, of course, but it's a different kind of development at the college level. But for your kids, if they were playing football, would you send them to school that Bill Belichick or Michael Vick was coaching at?
I'm going to be honest with you, Nat. Okay? It's just you and I talking here.
Just us.
I mean, Flat Tire University could call my house. If they're offering a full ride for my children to go there and play sports, they going.
Yeah.
I don't give a damn who's coaching. I don't care.
Fair enough.
If you're offering a full scholarship, and nowadays with NIL, you can get paid too?
Yeah, good point.
Oh, my God. So that means no money out of dad's pocket. I don't have to pay tuition, books, room, board, and you're going to pay my child to... Oh, yeah, you could go.
That's a call he's answering.
The coach is a bonus. Who's coaching? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so, but yes, of course. Belichick, I mean, what you're saying is name recognition, right?
Yeah.
If it's a 5-star kid, and this could be any sport, by the way. It doesn't just have to be, we're talking college football, but it could be any sport. If you have a super talented kid and they have the opportunity to go play in college and you're coach of that team is a standout former player, of course they're going to get consideration over another great school with maybe just a coach you've never heard of, but is a decent coach.
Right.
Of course, the name recognition is going to matter.
And is that going to change the competitiveness of the program? Like the best of the best, are they going to want to play under these coaches?
Right.
Or I don't know, players who might not get a second look at a school like this, are they going to have to go to not lesser schools, but maybe less competitive schools where, the coaching staff doesn't quite look like these all-star names. So I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting topic for sure. And like, obviously, Chip Kelly going to UCLA, Nick Saban, Alabama. It's like we've seen this before. It's worked out well. So nothing wrong with it. I think it's pretty cool. It's funny that Bill Belichick, I mean, I didn't think he was done. I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this.
I haven't seen you since all this.
Yeah.
Well, I imagine you were shocked like the rest of us. Do you think it'll work?
There's a lot of skepticism around it. And I'm trying to not pay attention to it, but I feel like when he lost Brady, he also lost a lot of fans. And I think that kind of soured the taste for him in New England, but being down south, I don't know how they feel about him down there, but it is one of those things where I think it's going to be a big adjustment for him because, he has all these extra things to think about. He's not working with pro athletes. He's working with athletes, with the NIL deals. They can get paid, all that kind of stuff. And that's why I mentioned the whole ego thing. It's like, can he come in and, I don't know, kind of minimize himself to a different kind of role where, he's not the big shot Patriots coach that he was, but I don't know. Do you think it'll work?
I think so. I've redefined success for Bill Belichick at UNC. I think the thoughts of him going in and winning a natty, I'm not there.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's why I say like redefine success, right? Because we're used to Bill Belichick, the GOAT, winning Super Bowls and all this. I don't think that's going to be the case at UNC. However, I do think kind of what we talked about with Vick and these other coaches with big profiles now going to the college game, Bill Belichick falls into this as well, where the sort of eyeballs and the interest that he brings to UNC is going to help recruit in itself, right? He's a walking, talking billboard to go to UNC.
Right.
So I think they will get talent. I think they'll be relevant. I think there'll be a great TV product. Ratings will be good. Numbers will be good. That makes the UNC people happy with the money coming in for NIL and everything else. Money will be flowing. They'll make the college football playoff, at his time there. And then, if you remember, there's a clause in his deal, Natalie, where when he's done, his son takes over.
Yes.
So my gut is his son's going to actually reap the benefits. I think his son's going to get the fruits of the labor.
Okay.
I think Bill's going to build it. Does that make sense?
Is this
so
Brian?
So that's the Steve. So that's the success aspect of it. It's like he'll go there, raise a profile. UNC will be great. He'll leave them better off than when he left than they were when he got there. And then his son comes in and wins at a higher level.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I didn't even think about that because it's right. I mean, you talk about billboard for UNC, and that's a huge recruiting aspect now, not only for kids going to the school to play football, but I think also kids just going to UNC, even if they're not athletes. It's like, oh, I'm going to a school where Bill Belichick is the coach. So I think that's going to be really like it. I would love to speak to the students. I'm sure there's stories out there that I could find, but students reacting to Bill Belichick just being on campus and having an office on campus. It's like, what's life going to look like for all of them in a way? But yeah, for him to come in, turn the program not necessarily around, but just enhance it and set things up for the future of his son, I think that could be highly probable. You know
damn well what them kids are like at UNC. How would you be at UNH if Bill
he would
Belichick
never go to UNH? I'll say that now. No knock to UNH. I love the football staff there, but Bill Belichick would not be there. Hell no. If I were a student there, though, I worked in athletics on campus. I would be the first person in his office, not expecting much out of an interview, but I'd be like, this is pretty sick.
Yeah, it's true.
So,
You'd actually be telling him what to do.
I know.
At this time we got this. You got to do this. You got to do that.
Bill, take the sweatshirt off, man. It's time for a collared shirt. Like maybe a little advice here and there.
That's a question. That's a great. That's actually a fair point. What's Bill going to be wearing on the sidelines now? You know what I mean? Are we going cut off hoodies? Or are we going to switch it up? What are we doing, Bill?
Down there.
What are we doing? Right? And by the way, kudos to Bill. He's skewing younger these days. So could be a whole new wardrobe. Could be a whole new movement there. But I do think in the end, I think we will see more high-profile NFL players and personalities and coaches going the college route. I'll throw you one curveball here before we move on.
Alrighty.
We just talked about him. I think Mike Vrabel, even though we talked about Patriots and Bears and Jets and teams that would have him in interest, I'm going to throw you a college team. My gut says that Ohio State could be in trouble in this college football playoff.
Interesting.
Okay? They're having a tumultuous time right now. They just lost to Michigan. Those Buckeye fans want to run their coach out of town already. If they lose, by the way, Natalie, their playoff game is at home. It's in Ohio State. If they lose on their field to a very good Tennessee team, that's who they play. Very good Tennessee team. So it's feasible. I'm not crazy here. I am, but you know what I mean. If Tennessee beats them,
moment.
Sidebar, crazy, but this topic I'm not. If Tennessee beats them and they fire that coach, and Vrabel played there, I mean, they have money like the NFL teams.
You're right.
Right? So I think that's something to kind of keep your eye on, too. I do think.
And he was an assistant coach there, right?
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There's ties. There's ties.
There,
So I could see more of, in other words, I could just see more of these big NFL brands go to the college game.
Well, I think with the whole college, like, NIL deals too. It's just added so much value to being a college athlete on top of the level of competition. I think you're right. You threw me a curveball, but it's not out of left field because I feel like you're right. He was an assistant coach there. He played there. Right. If Ohio State's calling, I'm not sure he would necessarily turn that down depending on the amount of money they offer him. But yeah, it is one of those things where it's like college football is probably one of the most watched programs in this country here. And like I'm not a huge college football watcher, but like everybody, you know, they're like butts on the couch Sundays, whatever, you know, watching, placing bets, whatever. So it's like it's a huge market to get into, not only as a coach but just everything that surrounds it. So I could see him taking advantage of that if the opportunity's there. But
absolutely,
why not? You know?
Yeah, listen. I have respect for anyone that chooses that path. Remember, I talked about the coaching, GM, front office, or the media. Former players generally pick one or the other. I was not much of an athlete, but I knew I did not have the patience to coach. So I've always had like a reverence for coaching. Because it's just such patience that I don't have. And GM and front office just always felt kind of boring to me. So I went the media route because it just made sense with my personality, being nuts and whatnot. Were you an athlete?
I was, but you know they say those who can't do teach.
Yeah, well, so we were kind of similar,
those who can't do talk, I guess. I played soccer, tennis, skiing, so like nothing that was really playable past high school for me. Right. But it was, you know, I never played hockey, never played basketball, or maybe like third, fourth grade, but not good enough to continue on. Right. So.
But you chose a media path, and it was the right path to choose.
I did, yeah. And I was telling the story today. It was because I failed my biology course when I thought I wanted to be a nurse. My teacher looks at me. He goes, "You're never going to make it in the healthcare field." And I went back down to my college prep course sitting, and I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? Well, I guess I like talking. I like sports. Let's see if that can work. And well, I'm here with you, Travis.
Hey, shout outs to all the nurses in the world. We love you. We appreciate what you do. But we're glad we claim Natalie here in the media and not the nurses. We get it for ourselves. Thank you very much. Want the latest on the Patriots and the NFL on that note? Drake May needs help. You watch these games. Pray for the boy. He don't have no time to throw, and he's got nobody to throw to. Well, we discuss it on Nesson's football podcast, Foxborough Rush. It's available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else podcasts are found. All right, let's keep this football party rocking, shall we?
Quite the read, man.
Yeah, I know. I get into those, you know. It's Natalie, I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
When I watch these Patriots games every Sunday, I say this all the time. I don't smoke cigarettes, right? But I feel like the Patriots are going to make me pick up that habit. Well, it's that stressful.
I'm picturing you. Do you sit in like a chair recliner? I picture like the arms of the chair just being totally worn out from Travis just like suffocating it.
Yeah.
But
it's true.
We can talk more about that later when
the armchairs
when your
are
blood
worn
vessels
out.
popping.
The cigarettes, the
brandy, the bourbon.
the recycling bin filled with cans and bottles. I'm not going to tell you.
This guy's down bad at home.
Patriots got me down bad. So let's talk about good football, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Thursday night, we got it going on. Broncos at Chargers. Now, this feels like a playoff game. In a lot of ways, it kind of sort of is. I mean, if the Broncos win, they're in. Chargers win, they're likely in. They need a little bit more help. But both of these teams right now, if you look at the wild card standings, they're both vying for wild card spots. We know they're not going to win the division because of some dude named Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid. I don't know. So that division's over. But these two teams feel like they're going to be in the postseason. As you look at this game on Thursday night, how do you sort of break it down? Give me some predictions.
Well, I think on paper, people are expecting the Chargers to win, which, I mean, okay. But, I mean, I don't really know much about the whole percentage betting, whatever. That's not really my realm. But I think, you know, these teams saw each other earlier this season, week 6. And Bo Nix struggled a little bit. It seemed like since then, I'm going to start with that. I'm going to start with the Broncos side. Yeah. So Bo Nix, it seems like he's settled in a little bit since that week 6 performance. You know, he didn't have his best game last game as well during the Colts, but I think that he is in a situation where he's seen enough football, he's taken enough reps where he kind of knows what to expect now, and playing the Chargers already, he's going to come in having some familiarity there. But you know, when he's playing well under pressure, he's completing passes, he's driving the offense, and we've seen him do that in week 14, I think. But you know, you want to see that kind of Bo Nix here, because if the Broncos win, they're in. If they lose, there are a couple scenarios where they can still get in. Trying to read my notes here. My goodness. But yeah, they can still get in if they beat the. Wow, they can get in if the Bengals, Colts, and Dolphins lose. But the Broncos can clinch if they win. So I think it starts with Bo Nix there. And then Justin Herbert, you look at the other side with the Chargers. You know, he's dealing with an ankle sprain. Right. It seemed like when the media was talking to him about it, all the questions were about his ankle sprain, his brace, you know, how things are feeling. And sometimes I get so frustrated with that. You can see it on his face, too. He's like, it's not even a factor to me anymore. You know, that guy in particular, he's going to play through anything.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah, I'm looking at the QBs to start. But, you know, they are at 6th and 7th, respectively. So it is a game where you know, clinching can happen. And I think, you know, the Broncos, they won 4 straight, but they were against teams with losing records. And then the Chargers dropped the pass to some guy named Pat Mahomes. That dude. And the Bucs. But yeah, I mean, this is a game that they wanted to prioritize, obviously, for Thursday. So it's going to be a good game.
Sounds like you're leaning Chargers, if I'm reading these tea leaves right.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Chargers, just because I mean, I have a little respect for Herbert. I mean, Bo Nix has done well, but he's young. I think he's 24. I'm 25. So when I think about that mental age being out there on the field, I mean, that takes a lot to balance, first of all. But I don't know. I think I'm going Chargers.
I'm definitely going Chargers. Okay. And I know you're not big into the betting thing, so
I just don't really know much about it.
Well, listen, as a resident degenerate gambler here on this program.
There's the armchairs.
Yeah, I feel like it's my responsibility to let you know. I rolled the dice on this Chargers team 2 weeks ago against the Chiefs, and I was wrong. I was burned on that bet. Yeah. I thought for sure they were going to win that game. I took my chance, and what I predicated it on was, okay, the Chargers have a brand at this point of absolutely choking down the stretch of an NFL season. This is what they've done since I was a child. Okay, this is their brand. They choke, kind of like the Cowboys. They choke down the stretch of a season. And I felt like, okay, Jim Harbaugh's here now. This team's tougher. Herbert's awesome. You covered all that. So I'm like, this is a time when they're going to win the games that they traditionally would lose. Okay. So I'm going to take a shot and bet against the Chiefs. And just like so many who have come before me, Natalie, when you bet against the Chiefs, you lose. Okay, that's how that goes. You lose. Damn. So I lost that bet, but I walked away from that game still impressed with the Chargers. They barely lost. They were in it. They should have won. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? Right. And so I'm like, okay, that culture changing is still there with Harbaugh. Then, of course, they get their ass beat by the Buccaneers, but the Bucs are hot right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to the well here. Chargers at home, big stage.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Chargers. I think this is going to be a tight game. I think Sean Payton, look, if I had a vote, I'd probably vote for Mike Tomlin for Coach of the Year, seeing what he's done with the Steelers.
Okay.
And then obviously you could talk a ton of other coaches in the game. But honestly, I think Sean Payton's name needs to be involved too. The job he's done with the Broncos has been fantastic. They're built very similar to how the Patriots are built, i.e. their receivers suck. Outside of Cortland Sutton, they don't really have any receivers. And yet and still, and they don't have some high-octane run game either, or some star running back like a Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley. So what Sean Payton has been able to do with that offense, with a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix, who you brought up, has been absolutely masterful. Outside of a Super Bowl year with the Saints, I think this is some of the best coaching Sean Payton has ever done in his career. Think about that. That's a Hall of Fame career. I say all that to say I'm still rolling with Harbaugh. I just think he's changed the mentality. I think the Chargers are tougher. I like Herbert, even though he's banged up, but he's not Lamar Jackson now. He's not going to run everywhere. Just give him a clean pocket. He can dice you up. You know what? The gambler in me, I'll give you a score.
You're gonna go that far?
I'm gonna go Herbert, our guy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Herbert orchestrates a game-winning drive, dramatic style. Give me 29-26 Chargers
That tight. Wow.
field goal.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Game-winning field goal.
I was also going to bring up the Broncos defense. They lead the league in sacks right now, tied for fewest points allowed. You talk about giving Herbert a clean pocket. You've watched the Chargers a little more than I have, it seems. But, what do you think about that side of it? How do you think Herbert is going to do? I mean, he's got the ankle sprain. We're not going to talk too much about that. But, how mobile is he going to be? How's that going to look for him?
Well, I think, look, my score, 29-26 game. That's not the highest scoring. Nowadays, that's not an extremely high scoring game. So I think obviously you're going to get some scoring regardless of the defenses, but not a ton. I think because of the nature of the game itself, both teams being in the wild card standings right now, as it stands today, the Broncos and the Chargers would both be in for the last wild card spots if the playoffs were to start today. They don't, but if they were, they're both in, right?
Yeah.
So because of that, that's why I said to start, it feels already like a playoff game. It's like we're getting, bonus playoff football here mid-December instead of waiting until January to get it. This is a playoff game. Because of that, I think both defenses are elevated here. I know on paper the Broncos defense is better, but I would give a lot of credit to the Chargers defense in this spot as well. So I think scoring is going to be tough to come by, which is why it sounds like we're both leaning Herbert to have the better game. I think this is the kind of game where, not to say Bo Nix is going to go out and throw 3 or 4 interceptions, but certainly that rookie mistake, that one mistake could be the difference. And he's not a guy that turns the ball over, but that youthfulness could, and this is what you brought up, that could sort of rear its head in this game where Herbert doesn't have that issue. Herbert literally, Natalie, has had a whole career in the NFL where he's just like, can I just have a competent coach, please, for the love of God? Can I just have a smart, competent, non-moron head coach? If I can get that, I can win. Yeah. Voila. The football gods bless him with Jim Harbaugh, for God's sakes. So I think that's where this kind of game sort of plays. There's no margin for error, and because of that, I'm gonna err on the side, as great as Sean Payton is, I'm gonna err on the side of trusting Harbaugh and Herbert over Payton and Nix. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I can see that. And they had a shorter week of practice too, because they just, so how do you approach that? Obviously, it's the same thing. But physically, they're coming in, they're gonna run through their systems, they're gonna take, rep it out. But home field advantage too. So I know that's huge.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. As I kind of look at this wild card thing, these are gonna be playoff teams, Natalie. I'm willing to stamp that. You know why? The teams behind them, I don't trust any of these teams. I'm gonna just rattle off these teams.
Go ahead.
Colts. What are we talking about?
Right.
Dolphins. They can't play outside, Natalie. If it's cold, they lose. It's simple.
That's such a disadvantage for some
Right.
teams, I feel like.
Yeah.
And that's it was funny. I was working a UNH football game, but it was a team from UT Martin or something from South who just hasn't played in the cold. And all the
Couldn't do
UNH
it.
football coaches, they're like, this is going to be good. They haven't played in the cold. They blew UNH out of the water.
It's unbelievable to me. Now, to be fair, if you have to go to Miami, we've seen the Patriots struggle in Miami for years. And we know, because of Tom Brady's discipline, because of Bill Belichick's discipline for all those years, that it wasn't the Miami flu, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. They weren't out at the nightclubs at Fontainebleau the night before. That's not what they were doing. I think it lends itself to what we're saying. You go down there in that heat, and you start cramping up, and you're hot as hell, and you're sweating in places you didn't even know you could sweat, you're going to lose that game.
I can't do that, man.
You know what I mean? So the Dolphins, it's the same way when they go to the cold.
Yeah.
So the Colts you can't trust. Dolphins can't play outside. And the Bengals, I mean, Burrow and Chase is intriguing, but that defense can't stop you and me. You know what I mean? And all we did was play high school sports, and they can't stop us. Yeah. We're scoring touchdowns on that defense.
Yeah.
So, I'm throwing it up to you, and you going to get it for touchdowns. So I don't trust the Bengals either. I think in the end, Natalie, the Broncos and the Chargers will be in the playoffs. I think I trust both of these teams, regardless of who wins this game. Yeah. I think they'll get in.
Yeah, and that'll be fun to see as well, because they're both, and I'm excited. I love when the rookies are doing well. So Bo Nix, of course, he didn't have the greatest start, but he's had quite the wake up call in his rookie season. And to be on a team like that, coach like that, I think it's fun to see when a kid that age is coming into something that's promising and has some longevity in the postseason.
No doubt. All right, so I started the show by telling you how big of a fan I was and how I see you on all these different platforms doing your thing. One of them is right here at Nesson for Respect Her Game. Tell me about it, please.
Respect Her Game is a wonderful show, as a matter of fact, because you can catch news from Simone Biles to Caitlin Clark. It's all the top stories in sports, and we got you covered on Nesson's Women in Sports podcast. That's called Respect Her Game. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever else you get your podcasts. Don't miss it. We got a lot of cool interviews on there as well. We had Danielle Marmer at one point talking to some Boston Fleet lately, so make sure you don't miss out on that show. It's a good one, Travis.
It is a good one. I gotta be honest. That was a damn good read. You know what's funny, Natalie,
Not as
to
much
me?
energy as you.
You know what's funny to me?
What's
like we do what's trending, right?
Yeah.
And they put this loud clock in our ear. And then the obnoxious clock, and then that buzzer, which is even more obnoxious, right?
Yeah.
So we'll get those sound effects.
I know.
But then when you do a fire read like that, a fire promo.
Yeah.
There's no like brr, 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 brr.
None of that.
I mean, come on, right? There should be some sort of
it's
applause.
So disrespectful.
Right.
Yeah.
A theme song.
Yeah.
Something.
My theme
confetti
song.
should drop. Where's the confetti?
I don't know, but we got some kind of support here, right?
I mean, come
They're doing
on.
nothing but bashing us with that
Come
buzzer.
on. All right, let's go to baseball.
They're getting button happy back there.
Let's go to baseball news and a little bit of love triangle drama too.
Oh boy.
Let's buckle in for this one. The Yankees acquire Cody Bellinger. So they get him for cash considerations from the Cubs and a pitcher, Cody Poteet. Let's talk baseball first, and then we'll get into what we really want to talk about. Okay, so I got to tell you, the Yankees are having themselves an offseason. Of course, you lose Juan Soto. I get it. That's got to hurt, especially to go to the Mets, which is like your little brother in New York, right? It's like, we're the mighty Yankees, and then there's a Mets down the street, right?
Yep.
Well, they just took your best player, so good luck with that. And by the way, they're paying for all the players in the league, so like they're not done. So I'm sure that hurt the Yankees, which I love. To their credit, you got to take shots.
Yeah, right.
To their credit, I mean, now Bellinger, they got Fried, Williams. I mean, they've had a really, really good, I guess, bounce back, right? Like, you fumbled Soto, but boy, your bounce back's been crazy. And I, on one hand, even though I'm giving the Yankees credit and making fun of them, I will also say Red Sox, pressure's on too. I mean, we can't gloss over this.
Yeah.
I love Crochet. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah.
you can't be done with that, right? There's got to be more here.
Yeah, and that's kind of, sorry to cut in, but that's just one of those things where it's like, Soto was in conversation to possibly come to the Red Sox.
Right.
People were so excited that they were kind of like squeezing the heck out of it. The news, it was just like, oh, is he coming? Is he coming? Well, no, he didn't. You know, we missed out on him. We got Crochet. Well, the minor league system got rid of the kid who led AAA in walks with 105 walks this season. So you lose that player. Yep. You lose Kyle Teal in catching. So, you know, people were saying, you know, it's a good day for I mean, it kind of good day for everyone else except. I mean, the Red Sox get Crochet, which is wonderful, but you lost a lot of great developmental pieces in just like the minor league system. So, yeah, you can't be done. No. And then Soto almost didn't happen. Freed was someone that the Red Sox were looking into. Didn't happen. So it is just one of those things where it's like, okay, what's next?
Yes.
Can't be done.
Yeah, I think it puts pressure on the Sox, and neither one of us think they're done. So we're both, you know, on the edge of our seats to see what the next move or two is.
Exciting.
But for sure, I think we can all agree there needs to be a next move or two, right?
Yeah.
As far as the Yankees go, again, on the field, I think they've done a really good job. But off the field, now we can get into this. So there was a little bit of history there with Bellinger and the Yankees, sort of indirectly, kind of 6 degrees of separation. So Cody Bellinger's wife is Giancarlo Stanton's ex-girlfriend.
Interesting.
So this begs the question. Did the Yankees know this?
Yeah.
And not give a damn and say, listen, we're trying to win games. We don't care. You guys work that out on your own time, not on our time. This is pinstripe time. Or did they not know at all? And so now Giancarlo is in the clubhouse looking at my man Cody like this.
Right.
I mean, I have more muscles than him. I think I'm better looking than him. I don't know. I don't know what she saw in him. I mean, I'm happy for them, but I'm over here. She could have been over here with me. Right. This could cause some issues, Natalie's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, it's like you talk about the clubhouse kind of feeling like a doghouse right now because it's like you get too, well, you know what? You have to, we're knocking on the Yankees a little bit, but you got to give them credit as professionals and think that they'll just work this out. I mean, I don't even know how that exchange is going to go. Is that something that's even going to be brought up? Are they going to try to address the elephant in the room right away and just be like, hey, man, it's all good? I don't know. But, you know, a lot of speculation that, you know, while Giancarlo was dating Chase, you know, there was reports that maybe she was in conversation at the time with Bellinger at the same time. Again, just reports, don't know.
Like sliding in DMs?
Yeah, sliding. We know
this tea
the
is
DMs.
hot.
DMs are a scary place, but yeah. So we don't know. I mean, and that is the thing. The Yankees are such a clean-cut organization. You know, you can't have long hair, beards. You know, if you're Alex Verdugo, you can only wear one chain. So it's one of those things where it's like, did you know, and how did you not know? God. So I mean, and you don't want beef in your locker room. Or your clubhouse. That makes just for an awkward situation. But I think they'll get past it. I mean, it's one of those things where I would just be like, hey man, I know there's like media circulating, but it's all good.
You would just address it.
I would go right because I don't have time for awkward stuff.
So okay, hold on. Let's stay here. Okay. Would you do it in front of would you go like clubhouse style, or would you pull them to the side? And also, who are you in this scenario? Are you Cody?
Oh man.
Or are you Giancarlo Stanton?
I'm Giancarlo.
Because it's very different.
I'm Giancarlo, man.
Okay. All right.
Maybe.
And you
talk about the muscles, so I'm
okay.
resonating
All right.
with that.
All right. So then, all right, let's do some role play. You're Giancarlo, I'm Cody. So I'm walking in, I'm putting stuff in my locker. Man, I can't believe I'm a Yankee. This is awesome. You walk over with all the buffness, and you're like, hey, bro, can I talk to you? Is that what we're doing?
Hey, man. Can I pull you aside real quick? And you brought up a good point. Is it a clubhouse thing or is it a personal thing?
How are you going to broach this?
I mean, I don't know how everything went down behind the scenes with the said female, but I would just be like, good to have you on board. Like, maybe I wouldn't even address it, but maybe I'd just go up and be like, hey, man, good to have you in the organization.
Yeah.
Glad to have you.
Yeah.
I mean, And we know the wags all go to the games.
Right.
So
Right.
That's another thing.
Oh, drama
The family
in the
section.
club. Oh my God.
I think they'll be fine, but it's certainly a fun topic.
Can you give me that Giancarlo voice one more time?
You like that? Hey man, my voice is creepy. Welcome to the organization. You gotta shave the beard.
Also, low key, my favorite thing when you first did it. Not only did you do the voice, but you went like this. Hey man,
I don't even know where I'm going with this.
I know.
anymore.
Well, listen, I told you
gosh.
before we started the show. I said, look,
We were gonna go off the rails.
I've
a little
seen
bit.
you and George. You two do a great job. It was a very professional show. With
Yes.
me, it's gonna go a little different. It's gonna go a little bit different.
Yeah. Well,
That's all.
We're exposing a different side to my abilities.
Yeah, but this
Drop
is
the
important.
octave.
This is
Yeah.
important, Nat.
Yeah,
The
well-
peeps need to see you do the Giancarlo, too. They need to know you can do it.
The Giancarlo, I love it. Well,
Yeah.
Bellinger's going to be a good addition.
Oh, he is.
Happy for him. I think that's a cool spot. And, they've called him an above-average defender in center field, moving Aaron Judge to right field. So the outfield's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Despite all the tea, I think, I respect the way the Yankees can kind of figure things out, even when they lose a guy like Juan Soto.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. Look, they're going to be tough. I give props to the Yankees for, as I said, their offseason with losing Soto. I think they've had about as good of an offseason as you can for that. You lose
Yeah.
a guy, to the caliber of a Juan Soto. They've done a pretty good job bouncing back with Bellinger and Fried and all these guys. So I think they'll be fine. I still think in the end they're going to come up short. We're all going to laugh at them. But kudos to them for picking up the pieces.
Let's see where the Red Sox go, man. I'm excited.
I am too. You know
Yeah.
what I need?
What do you need?
I need another. I need like a ace. I'll take Corbin Burns gladly. Okay, I know that's out there, but I want an ace, and I want another bat. I know everyone's saying Alex Bregman. Well, he's so expensive. What do you care?
Yeah.
It's not your money.
Yeah, also, I'd love to see the Red Sox pay. I'd love to see them use their
Right.
money. Yeah, it's like everybody's waiting on them to spend. And you know what? They needed some pitching depth. Crochet is great. So I'm ready to see
Yeah.
them spend money elsewhere, too. And it's like, it's not our money, of course.
That's
but
what I'm saying. It drives me nuts when people
Yeah.
are like, why would you pay that? You're not.
Invest. It's an investment. It's
an
a
investment.
business.
And Bregman, not for
Yeah.
nothing, Natalie. Bregman's won World Series. He knows how to win. Cora loves him. He's willing to play second base.
Yep.
You don't have to move Devers from third. I think it's a no-brainer. So if I can get an ace and Bregman with Crochet,
Yep.
that's a damn good offseason.
That would be a good
That's
offseason.
a damn good offseason.
Yeah.
And by the way,
Yeah.
no clubhouse drama like the Yankees have.
Right.
Ain't no sliding in DMs here. Okay, we're all professionals with the Sox. Thank you
Send
very
letters.
much. Yeah. Right?
No DMs. Yeah.
There's no pulling someone to the side and be like, hey, bro, sorry, we need to
Hey,
talk.
man. Yeah, like.
This title,
No.
the title of this podcast should be Natalie Does a Giancarlo.
Natalie's traps.
Look at these traps. You need a spot, bro?
Where'd you go?
She's Natalie Noury. I'm Travis
Oh,
Thomas.
man.
We live off the rails. This is what we do. And this has been Boston Has Entered the Chat from the PNC Bank studio. This was everything I thought it would be, you and I.
Off the
Way
rails.
to go.
Yeah, loved it, man.
Thank
Thanks
you all
having
for
me.
being a part of it and being off the rails with us. Till next time, peace.